I'm going to introduce our next guest, which is Robyn Nunis. And Robyn, I see you're here. Go ahead and put your camera on mute, and then I'm going to stop sharing. Or no, I'm not sharing right now. So screen is over to you to give an intro to everything you've been doing since the start of the pandemic and all the big news that you have. Excited to hear from you. Hi, Robyn.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be talking to people in Nashville. Vitalsource, you may or may not know, was one of the digital content arms of Ingram Content Group. We are now out on our own, but I've been to Nashville several times. Love it. Love the people, love the food. So really happy to be here to talk to everybody. I wanted to...
Hey, Robyn, go ahead and put your slides in present mode. So
I will.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry about that. I had to maneuver this thing around from Zoom. So anyway, I put this up because I feel like this is where we all have been for over a year and a half. You know, we're coming up on 2 years of what do we do in all kinds of situations that, you know, we as vendors and businesses and partners with K-12, as you know, along with our districts and schools, where we just don't know from one day to the next what's going to be asked of us, what is needed, how do we do this, what is the legislature doing at a state, local, and federal level every day in terms of being able to continue to provide personalized learning and education during these kind of difficult times. So that's kind of, this would, I think, kind of sum up kind of how we all felt during this time. And Vitalsource has also grown immensely. We have some exciting new products coming out later this year. But today what I wanted to talk to you about is Launch. And Launch is a product for us where we provide digital content. And by digital content, I mean ebooks, I mean courseware, those, you know, on the same platform, so that your students aren't wondering and your teachers, you know, oh, I've got to go over here, I've got to go over there, I've got to, you know, get into this app, that app, whatever. This would be one place that would have your ebooks, your courseware to go with single sign-on. So I put these up here because I hear, you know, this from districts all the time. You know, why can't I find my stuff? Why? You know, where's my password? Okay. And what we do is optimize your digital ecosystem. Okay. We have seamless access, SSO. We can deliver courseware. We can do deep content integration. So if you want to have links and stuff that go further in the courseware or into the book, we can do that. And we also have several rostering solutions. So this is an example of how your teachers, your students, your curriculum coordinators, whoever it is, can go with single sign-on into their ebook or courseware. So with this one, for example, read now would be, you know, there's an ebook and you can do this. Launch is, it launches the courseware. So your students know, okay, there's courseware here. I can go and just launch from here. And the other way that we can do that, there are other ways that publishers do this, okay? We also do OER, OpenStax, just so everyone knows. A lot of times when students buy an ebook, okay, there will be a MyLab or MindTap or something like that, and the publisher sets up access codes. And I know that all of you many times know what a party it is to keep track of these access codes. Students lose them, teachers lose them. The student just has to click here. It takes them out to the site. It automatically gives them their access code to their clipboard, and they can just go out there, put that in, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so it looks kind of like this. Copy, and so go ahead, copy this and link to that site. And once again, we're showing you, what it looks like from the materials homepage when they go on, and you can see that, and you can see that you can manage materials however you would like them to be managed. It can say, I just want to see the courseware, I just want to see the ebooks, I want to see both.
Hey, Robyn, can you make a couple comments on the importance of this particular content area? Because I know you do a lot with dual enrollment.
Yeah, so what we have found is with dual enrollment, there has been a lot of challenges for districts to be able to obtain that content easily for their students. So in the past, it would be either buying print, trying to get those passed out, sending them to different, bookstores or Amazon, or sending them to a bookstore to get access codes. And then all of a sudden, this class may not be taught. They may be adding a class, and you're stuck with all this stuff. So we have come up with a product called Explore, where students in dual enrollment can just go out there, and we have all your content, all your courseware, and the district can manage what students are in what courses. So if someone moves somewhere else and you got to move someone in, it's a couple of clicks, as opposed to, sending them all over the place, or you buying content that's not going to even be used. We've had a lot of success with Houston Independent School District. We have done webinars with them to discuss the things they ran into. So they did an audit and went around the campuses specifically for dual credit, and they found all these books, workbooks, etc., still in the wrapper, stuffed in closets. They weren't being handed out. They couldn't guarantee or measure if their students were, actually getting the content that they bought. And it was a real hassle. So we set up this program, and then we bill on a semester basis. So at the end of this semester, we send you a bill for what the districts and those students used. Are there any questions about that?
Sorry, I have to take myself off mute, so there's a delay. No, I just really wanted you to bring it up because in terms of, the whole textbook arena, what's happened in the past has been, buy it in advance, ship it in advance, or if it was digital, you're locked into, bulk buys and not necessarily one-off buys and annual buys instead of like a limited term time. And so now in the digital world, it's sort of been a little mini revolution where, you're only paying for what you use, which is a huge cost impact. So I really wanted you to mention that because I wanted to make it highly relevant to what schools are looking at doing right now, even though it seems like they have a lot more money because of all the CARES Act money. They're scrambling to still try to find savings, and have flexibility. So just wanted you to be able to comment on all that stuff.
Yeah, and in terms of costs, like there are different rental links. So you may have a course that's, you only need a 90-day rental, or you may need one that's 180 days, or you may need one for a year. And, we offer those options so that you're not stuck paying for something that either, you're not going to use for very long, or you don't have to buy it and then, you're stuck with that for 5 or 6 years. So in this, where we are now in the launch course materials ebook, it just shows you kind of what it looks like. And you can search for terms. You can go to different places in the ebook. This is flashcards for studying. And we have a notes section and even a review that they can take at the end to make sure that they're prepared for an exam and so forth. So these are not everybody, but a lot of the ways that we can integrate with you. We also work with ClassLink. I need to update this because we do work with them. And we also have another product, as I mentioned, Explore. So if you do not have an LMS, we do have a product that you can use where your students can log on and have access to their materials. So I wanted to spend a little time on this. I think this is probably one of the more important parts of my presentation. And I have spent a lot of time thinking about how, we can help K-12. And it's not just Vitalsource, it's all the businesses that are out there for K-12, and what, can you as a district do to really think about being prepared and having your resources available day one of class. And we have done studies in both at the college, at the college level, actually, in community college level, where students actually have better outcomes GPA wise and in terms of learning and grasping the information if they have the right content set up and ready for them day one. So along with that, one of the things that I have noticed over the last 2 years, with the pandemic and all of us kind of being caught off guard with it, is one of my tips is please solve for your long-term goals for your district, for your school, instead of solving for the short term or the right now. A lot of times solving for the short term or the right now isn't scalable. It may not take you to where your mission statement is. It may not support your goals for student learning outcomes. And I think that you really need to think about how are we going to get to where we want to be for long-term goals, instead of saying, okay, we're fine sending PDFs around, or we have this homegrown portal, or these documents we can pass back and forth in Google Classroom and so forth. None of those things are that I have found, and in talking with districts and doing this for as long as I have, are scalable. So that's one thing I've learned, especially over the last 2 years, was, okay, we got money, we got to get out there, we got to do something, we got to buy something. And people buy something and they end up realizing it's not what they need and it doesn't really support them long term. The second part is pick vendors that will partner with you. I have learned that, and I think that ClassLink was saying this too, before I got on, is they're talking about the white glove treatment and really trying to solve what the districts need. And, that is, a vendor should become your partner and be listening and solving for the challenges and obstacles that you are running into, and should be able to respond back to your requests and to you in a timely time frame, have dedicated teams to your account, and really understand what it is that you're trying to do. I can say that my company is not for everybody, right? I know what we do well, and I know what is outside of our scope. And it's real important to find a vendor that you trust and will tell you, you know what, I don't think we can solve what you're looking for, or ask questions as to why do you want to solve it that way. And I've seen, I've received many, many calls from across the nation that have come to me and said, Robyn, I got something and it's just not doing what we want it to do. And, it's just not working for us. And it was because there was a rush to just go get something. And that vendor didn't take the time to partner with the district and understand, okay, what is it that we can do to help them? My next tip is have digital content ready at least 2 weeks before school starts. I can't stress this enough. Even before the pandemic, there were so many times that schools or districts would wait until the kids were in school or the students were in school to start, integrating their content and getting it ready. And then, there's no time for troubleshooting. There's no time for discussion, and to, for teachers to see it, and training and so forth. So, that's something that I think is real important. And again, you want to be ready and have those resources ready before, day one of school. This is a big one. Hold standing meetings with all stakeholders for at least 2 months before school starts, with all stakeholders. So by that, I mean, within your district, within your school, so your curriculum people, your IT people, your LMS person, your clever person, the person that, works with, for example, ClassLink or whatever it is. You want to get everybody on the same page. And what I have found is districts go out and buy content and, let the departments know, hey, it's here. And then it's there. And that department and IT and everybody are not communicating. They're not even really understanding how all this is going to be put together in the integration. And it ends up becoming a lot harder to get set up. And there's a lot of last minute issues. The next thing I think is also a big deal is provide documentation and training to IT. And by that, I mean, having redundancy in your organization. So if the person that is in charge of your LMS, or Clever or ClassLink or whatever, leaves, there's documentation and other people know how to do it. I can't tell you how many times they've come, a new person comes in and says, I don't even know anything. I don't know what we've got with Vitalsource. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So, you know, that can also slow things down. But we also want to be able to provide training to IT, to the teachers and to the students so that they have everything they need, they know how to use it, and they're ready to go. And I know ClassLink mentioned this, but evaluate usage of content obtained by the district or your school. I can't tell you how many times I've been contacted by a publisher and I have reached out to the district and I continue to reach out to the school and they aren't even using it. They aren't setting it up. They aren't using it. They bought it. They bought a lot of it, but they aren't using it. So we also have analytics on our platform as well, which will tell you by class level, by content level, by student level, are they using it? And if they're not using it, why aren't they? Because getting content, and we can provide savings, but in this time, you want to make sure that you're getting the right content and it's being used. And if it's not, then you can make decisions on, okay, well, then, maybe we need to get new content. Or is there an issue? Is this teacher just not going to use this content? Those sorts of things. The last thing that I wanted to talk about that I ran into, especially during the pandemic, my background is in hardware for K-12. And then, I've also been selling software to K-12 for, I don't want to say a long time. But one of the things that I want to make sure that districts and schools think about is please evaluate your network infrastructure and security software to protect the district or your school. So it's kind of like what I began to see was as digital content and all these programs come out like robotics and 3D stuff, and there's all these great things out there now that you can provide your students and teachers to experience. But nobody goes back and looks at your infrastructure. I'm not saying nobody, but there have been plenty of times where I've seen servers go down. The devices that the students have aren't prepared for those kinds of graphics, those sorts of things. And it's just really important to take a look at all that because it's, I think, a common issue that you go out and you buy all this stuff. You buy all the software. You buy all these things, and then, you're not looking at your infrastructure, your Wi-Fi, how much traffic that's going to be, that sort of thing. And, one day it crashes. The next thing that I think is absolutely so important is security software. And, I worked with a handful of districts and probably more that during the pandemic, they got hacked. And it was a huge mess. And to go back and try and put things together and rebuild is very difficult because, quite frankly, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to find out what the hack did to your system. And then trying to get your other programs back up. And then, along with the different firewalls and perhaps get another security system. And it's not that it's not doable, but it takes a long time. So as you can see, these are just things that I have seen from my roles in K-12. And I don't know if it's helpful to any of you or not. And my company does not provide security software or network infrastructure, although we do have a lot of security measures put into our platform. So I don't know if that's helpful or if any of you have ever run into this, but I just thought I'd end on that note.
Well, those are really great comments. And I would completely agree with you. In fact, Learning Council in that vein is actually now looking at, our hybrid logistics project, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, as having like a major impact on networks. And I don't think the network revolution is over for schools by a long shot. They were scrambling just to do Wi-Fi devices for students.
Right.
And that's not really going to cut it as we surge forward with even more content hitting the networks, and especially what's coming down the pike with commercial grade hybrid logistics. So this was awesome. And I just want to mention that from what I know about what you're doing, there's a lot of cost savings in it. It's really what you should associate with Vitalsource is if you're going to have to do books, it's a cost savings issue as like a super marketplace for a whole bunch of stuff in one place.
Right. And it not only cost savings, but it's also in terms of how many apps your students and teachers are using. LeiLani, I forget where it was that we were, and a CIO came in and he evaluated everything they were using, and he cut down, I think it was, they had 800 apps and he had cut it down to about 500.
Yeah, it's a huge cost savings. And that's what a lot of schools are looking at doing right now. Because the average teacher,
and your students aren't having to go, okay, I have to get my courseware here. I've got to get, I have all these different e-readers. I have all, it's just confusing.
Yeah. So this was great. And thank you for sharing. Also, a big thanks to ClassLink just before you.